So something you had mentioned earlier was the conference. The difference between the first conference that you went to at Canopy Connect versus like the second, where it's a little bit night and day difference. I would love for you to share kind of more about, dive into that.
Yeah. So one of the core tenets that when I came into Canopy Connect, I said, this is not we do it a little bit better than the other guy. Like, this is a whole branding awareness effort. We're a new company in an industry that's really fragmented tech stack wise. Like, we need to kind of break through the noise. We need to get our name out there. We need to just get recognized. That's more important than the short term. Like, we need to generate leads and get new customers. Like, those will come. But it's kind of always the marketer's dilemma, where it's like, branding, like, do we focus on branding and awareness, top of funnel, or do we go, chase MQLs and SQLs and opportunities? And I was fortunately in a good position where our CEO trusted me to say, like, what do you need? Our CEO is like the technical guy. So he's like, marketing is your thing. Like, what should we do? So I put together a plan. It was more around branding and awareness. And we obviously need to convey our importance and our selling point and the problem and all that stuff. So did a big focus on that. And Facebook ads, and we can get into all the tactics. But what was the salient, like, this is working sort of moment? It takes a while. Like, this doesn't happen overnight. You don't throw up an ad and all of a sudden everyone knows you. So we went to a conference one October. The first year I was here, I was about maybe 5 months into the job. Had a booth. My general pitch to everyone was like, hey, have you heard about Canopy Connect? And the response was usually, no, no idea. No, do you know what we do? No. So then I have to go through the whole spiel, and people are like, wow, that's interesting, that's compelling, and I could see myself just in that conference having just like, hey, I've just said this 100 times, like, how it goes. Your pitch, like, you start like tweaking the pitch a little bit, and that helped me like crystallize our messaging, like what's resonating, what's not resonating, what are the actual pain points that I'm hearing. And then over the next year, we went pretty heavy on advertising. Yes, we did some demand generation, but a lot of it was problem awareness, these things that I was hearing at this conference and subsequently through conversations and interviews and things like that, to the point that I think we saturated the market. We did a really good job of just getting our message out there with the right groups. We did co-branded webinars and all sorts of things. So I went to that exact same conference a year later, and the conversation was very different. Have you heard about Canopy Connect? The answer is, yeah, I've seen you guys around. Yes, you guys do that insurance data collection thing, right? Not perfect, and I don't expect it to be, but you know our name, you've seen our logo, it's enough that you pause and take an extra look. You come off, when you go to a trade show, you got the people in the aisles that are like standing a little bit of ways, and they're trying to read your booth, and they don't want to talk to you. And then if you do ask them, like, have you heard of us? You know what we do? And they're like trying to like take your messaging and be like, well, what do they actually do? Right? And that whole conversation was totally different, because people were like, yes, I know you guys. That seemed like a fun ad. We leaned pretty heavily into like memes and stuff like that, which is insurance ads. People love seeing like disasters and cars on fire, like those types of ads worked really well. But they came to us, yeah, I've seen your ads, I've seen your thing, like I've seen you talking, I've seen you on a webinar. So the awareness was through the roof, just in that 1 year difference, which I think in branding terms, like that's a pretty short turnaround, especially for a company that had near, I won't say near zero. Like we had, relatively low newcomer awareness.